I'm recording.
Oh my goodness, I'm recording as well.
Woo, woo. We're so in sync.
We are like more in sync than Backstreet.
Yep.
But we're back, guys. Welcome to Wingin' It. This is the West Wing Podcast. I am Andrea.
I'm Sallie.
And Sallie doesn't like it when I do proper introductions, but I like to do it
sometimes.
No,
I'm A-okay with it. It catches me off guard, but it makes me feel professional. Professional podcasters.
Yes, we are waiting for our podcast Emmy any day now.
Yeah, any day. Anytime you guys want to recognize us, that'd be great. So we've come down a few notches. I mean, this episode, we're on episode 2 of season 2, In the Shadow of Two Gunmen, part 2.
Part dose.
A lot of twos. Yeah. And there's still a lot going on, and there's still a lot we don't know, but this episode has come down a few notches, obviously, from the finale and from even last episode. Don't you think?
Yeah. It has, and you know what? It needed to, because we were pretty hopped
up.
That's
why I just exhaled. It's like I need
a gust of wind.
I'm so glad we're coming down a notch, because my little heart just can only handle so much.
Her heart can only go on for so long.
Yeah. There's not a ton going on in this episode. That's not true. There's still a lot going on, considering how high the stakes are. I mean, we still don't really know about Josh and all of that, but in comparison to last episode and the episode before, there's not as much going on.
Yeah, the heart rate's
storyline-wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
In the Shadow of Two Gunmen, part 2.
Mm-hmm.
The TikTok. We will recap in case you are not rewatching with us, if you're just, listening in for kicks. So, the beginning of the episode, basically all that happens is that they apprehend the shooter, or at least the suspect who is the shooter, whatever. So that was pretty cool. And then most of the episode continues from the first part with the flashbacks of how the senior staff got together on the Bartlett campaign. So we see flashbacks with Donna, flashbacks with Sam, all sorts of good stuff, flashbacks with CJ. And then in present time, there's still the question of who was actually in charge when Bartlett was under anesthesia. That's kind of a big deal. And what else happens in present time? Well, Josh is in surgery, so that's still going on for the entire episode. And other things, I think those are the major points of action.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, we'll get to all the other stuff. So there you go.
We'll get to all the little bits of goodness.
It's like
badness.
Chocolate chips of wonderful.
Yes. So, I mean, a good place to start is just the beginning, because I was pretty excited about Homeboy getting arrested. I literally, we're hearing about Josh on the news as we see him, and so my note says, we see this stupid shooter guy while we're hearing about Josh, and we hate him. And then my next note is, oh, good, he's surrounded by people. You go to jail forever. And because you're just like, ugh, you little punk.
Yeah.
I mean, I have other words, but we are a clean podcast, so.
I was glad that they, or at least from what I kind of rewatched it this morning, that, I mean, obviously they're it's well cast and it's well directed. I'm glad that when they panned over to the shooter's face, he wasn't making some sort of stupid smirk, he just looked like a genuinely bad dude.
Yeah, although he did seem really confused about, it took him a long time to figure out, what was going on.
What? Helicopters?
Or,
shooting at me? What?
Yeah, he's, looking around for, a solid, 30 seconds to a minute of this shot, and he's just like, what? Where are there people everywhere that I look right now? And then, finally he gets on his knees. It was just ugh, I don't know.
Well, that's right. I shot at somebody. I guess this is what happened.
Yeah, a conspiracy to, shoot the president. Not really, but,
a member of his staff.
That's how it looks. So, yeah. So, that was nice. Bye, shooter. Get out of here.
Yeah, you caused us a lot of emotional damage.
Yeah, seriously. So anyway, there's that. And then one thing that was so sad about this episode for me, because in mentioning just then I said, you tried to shoot the president. And really that's not the truth. They were trying to shoot Charlie.
Charlie!
Which, why would you ever want to shoot Charlie?
I know!
But Charlie, like, finds that out in this episode. He finds out, they tell him that he was the target. And my question is, I understand storyline-wise, we want to give Charlie something to, like, I don't know, it's giving Charlie a story. It's giving him sort of this complication, whatever. But, like, did he really need to know in real life? It just felt so sad to me that they brought him in this room and they were like, Charlie, this is all your fault. I didn't think they did a great job of, like, comforting him, or, like, it literally sounded like, this is your fault. I don't know. I didn't enjoy that scene, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know anybody who would. I mean, I suppose they had to tell him, but really? I don't know. I don't know.
I mean,
like, what's he gonna do differently?
Nothing. Right, like that's what I'm saying. Like, the scene, it was like, what, they didn't do a good job of making it seem like there was a point in telling him. And I also feel like it would have been different if they were like, you know, you were the target, here's what we're going to do differently, or here's what happened. We're giving you, like, a real breakdown of how this happened and what's going on and where do we go from here. But they were literally just like, the president wasn't the target, and they was almost like let him figure it out on his own, and then he's just like, okay, and now he's depressed, and period, end scene. So that was it. It's just tough, because it's tough already that Charlie's going to take that very hard, obviously. Mm-hmm. So that is just tough.
I think he's got something coming up in the next episode. I mean, I know he's in the next episode, but the Netflix thing went to, like, the next episode for me, and it shows he and Zoe kissing, and so I think it's going to be a very Charlie-centered episode and storyline for a while.
Remember, so that's fine with me. I mean, hey, I guess if that's what it takes to get more Charlie storyline, that's great, but poor Charlie.
I know. Whew.
So, other things going on.
Yeah, there are plenty. Yeah. Talk about the flashbacks. There's so many great moments. Just like we said in the last episode, we loved seeing the way that these wonderful people have come together.
So let's talk about Toby and CJ.
Yeah.
Let's talk about CJ's flashback, where Toby comes to get her. I mean, this scene to me is another example that implies, like, a pretty decent amount of familiarity. They know each other.
Yes, they do.
They know each other previously. And because there's some line, and maybe I was reading too much into this, but there's some line when CJ gets pushed in the pool and her clothes are, like, clinging to her. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't even know. That's not what I meant to say. When she falls into the pool because she can't see. She must be really blind, because I have terrible eyesight. But you can make out, like, shapes. I mean, she has to be straight up, like, completely.
She's straight tripping.
Yeah, that was crazy to me, because I'm like, without my contacts, I still wouldn't, like, walk into a pool, you know? Who knows? Anyway, that's just me being nitpicky. So she says something about, like, she makes Toby turn around, and one of them says something about, I think Toby says, like, that's not why I came here, or something like that.
Yeah.
And it implies, like, that she might have thought that's why he came, or, like, that has happened, something has happened before, which we've discussed this before, that we think there is something that's happened, but this is just a scene that sort of implies that as well, I think.
I think so, too. I think even just in the little things where he says, like, when she can't see who's there, and he says, it's me. Like, how many people in your life do you have an it's me relationship with? Not that many. Yeah. Right?
Not that. I mean, a handful.
Right, but it's not like...
But people you know, well, yeah. I mean, that's a familiar thing as well. That's a very... intimate thing.
Yeah, it's not just like, oh, hey, I'm Toby. Remember me from that thing we worked on together? Or like... Oh, hey, it's Toby Ziegler.
Right.
It's not even, hey, it's Toby. It's me. Like, come on.
Right. Yeah, that's true. I didn't give it that much thought, but no, I think so. Like, I mean, yeah, you think about, oh, it's somebody you worked with. I don't have that with anybody I've, like, genuinely just worked with professionally. even friends I've made through working professionally, I wouldn't think would be like, it's me.
Right?
It is a little more of an intimate thing.
Yep.
So,
just saying.
Especially because you have to have the confidence that they will know who you are when you say that.
Because you can
it's
think
not
you have
something
an
you can
me.
just throw around.
You can just say it's me, and they'll be like, "Who the heck is that?" And that's awkward. You don't want to do that, guys.
So that implies a good bit of background. So I just adore their back and forth, their relationship. When he says, "CJ, you fell into the pool there." They work so well together.
Oh, great.
Because I remember when we first met Andy, and I was saying that there's just it has to be a certain type of character to be believable with Toby, and CJ's personality really is.
Yeah, it's true.
I think they have fun together, but they're both very professional and serious when they need to be. But like their sense of humors go together, very dry, very like sarcastic. That meshes really well together. You fell into the pool there.
So great. Oh, and she goes from making $550,000 at her PR firm to $600 a week. Oh, yes. My mercy. I mean, I could live on that, but I'm pretty sure she couldn't afford that like Beverly Hills house that she was living in there. So I guess she had to sell her house.
I thought it was like a complex, but maybe I didn't know it. Because I wouldn't think she could afford like a private courtyard and pool. I don't know. I have no idea how much stuff costs.
Oh, I bet she could.
So
maybe it wasn't in a good neighborhood or something. I don't know.
Maybe
just saying, that's quite a pay cut. For me, I'd be like, oh, $600 a week. Okay. I can work on a presidential campaign, but can't imagine going from that much to that little. It's like Flowers for Algernon or something.
It is a pretty big change, yeah.
We have other flashbacks, too.
We do. I think I also made a note here, while we're in between things, is that I just made a note about how good this episode and the previous episode were, that they have a different rhythm, which of course they do because of the flashbacks, but they just have a different a style. I'm not exactly sure how to explain it, but I think this is probably agreed upon that the first season is great, but the second season, I feel like the show starts to find how it's going to work a little bit more, and it's like where the first season was good, now we're settled in and we're ready to go, and the second season can be great. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The first season was also great, but like I just think it finds its style and its rhythm, and it just takes off from there. That was me making a taking off noise.
This episode felt kind of like a movie to me, and I think part of it's the fact that they were outside of the West Wing a bunch because of the flashbacks, so just all the exterior shots, but also the music was more, I don't know, there was more like different kind of music. Snuffy. It felt more like a movie to me.
Snuffy also, I was stalking Snuffy, and we've talked about Snuffy a couple of times, but Snuffy did the music for Sports Night and Studio 60, which are both Sorkin things, which I'm actually about to start watching Sports Night. Probably today, if I can find time, because it's all on Hulu, and we've been told a million times to watch it. So, yes.
Oh.
So, I'm going to start Sports Night. But he also did the music for the Wonder Years. He's done a lot of good stuff. So, Snuffy.
We need to get Snuffy on here.
You're the bomb. Yeah, that's what we need.
When he's not, conducting orchestras for our favorite TV shows.
Yeah. Speaking of movies, we've been told a few times to also watch The American President. We actually got an email about it recently too,
which you
have seen, haven't you? Okay, I've never seen it, so I have to see it. Yeah, I've got homework to do for sure.
Yeah, well, you know what we could do is we could watch it together, and we could have our West Wing potluck. And every time I go to the store now, I remember there's a food item that we didn't put on our list: Bartlett pears.
Bartlett pears?
Yeah,
that's a thing. I would never have known, but hey, that works for me.
It's my favorite kind of pear. And so we can have Bartlett pears and chili and Mrs. Landingham's
goldfish
and goldfish and all sorts of stuff. And we'll watch The American President.
Sounds good to me.
Well, I'm glad we have a plan.
So, more flashbacks. Sam and Josh. are fun if we're just staying on the flashback train.
Yes, stay on the train.
Yeah. So, and Sam is telling, in his first flashback, or not in his first, but in this flashback, he is telling this company that he's, like, consulting with not to buy these boats.
Right.
And that does come back, I mean, we don't want to give any spoilers, but doesn't that come back up later in the season, in the series? I feel like it does.
It does sound familiar, but I don't know if it's with that company. Oh, yes, it does. Yeah, I think it does, but I'll have to look up where.
Okay, we can, so, because sometimes people are, this isn't foreshadowing, because we have no, I mean, I don't think it's, I mean, it is because we know it's going to happen, but if we were just watching this, we wouldn't know they'd bring it back up, but people have written in that we could talk about foreshadowing more, and so this isn't that, but, sorry, close enough. It will come up again at some point in the series. So it's fun that they put that in there. Sorkin, I'm sure, was already plotting how that would come back to bite Sam, so...
Another one bites the dust.
But then Josh is trying to find Sam. He can't remember the name of the firm again. He's in the rain. He's on the phone trying to figure it out. And then he is knocking on Sam's window.
I love it.
And I have so many questions about this scene because how did he get in this far into the building? How come no one else in this conference room is concerned about the soaking wet man standing outside the window staring
smiling at them? like a doofus.
Like, so creepy. And it's such a cute scene for Sam and Josh. Like, I love it for our purposes and for the story's purposes. But if you think about it, you're like, there's this just random soaking wet dude. And, like, isn't there, like, a receptionist? Or like, isn't there somebody before that point that would have said, sir, why don't you just wait here?
Yeah, although I suppose...
It's a little unprofessional.
Well, totally. But you know how Josh gets when he's, like, super excited about things. He probably just blew past the receptionist after she wouldn't listen to him. But, yeah, it was pretty funny. I mean, the whole thing with Sam and him telling them not to buy the boats, like... I think in the whole episode, the common theme is that all of these staffers are like highly, they're really concerned with integrity and telling the truth and not like placating, you know, like even CJ at her PR firm where she tells the guy like, hey, you didn't get nominated because you make bad movies. Like, everyone's just being super straight up. And Sam, like, he's not going along with it and saying, okay, yeah, buy these boats, whatever, we'll keep you from, you know, being sued or whatever. He's like, no, that's not right. They all have a very strong sense of justice and righteousness.
Yeah. They're all on the moral high ground. And and that goes back to Bartlett being, you know, Sam is asking if he's the real deal. And that they're not looking for, like Josh was on, Hines' campaign, and they're not just looking for the guy that's going to win. They're looking for the guy that they think should win. And so it all falls in line with them being morally superior, but not in a bad way, but they're looking for the right thing.
Yeah. And
it's fun to see them do that. Because, CJ is above TV and movies. Sam is above doing this. And this is so true to Sam's character even throughout the rest of the series, that he can't let go of you know, like, he keeps bringing it up.
Yeah.
And it's already sort of, like, festered in his brain, so there's no way, you know, he's not just going to be like, okay, yeah, fine, do what you want. He is not going to give up, and he keeps mentioning it in the meeting. So I like that, too.
Yeah, I also like, I wish we knew more about the backstory of Sam and Josh, because... I mean, think about it. The amount of trust that Sam has in Josh's opinion to just know from a look on his face, like his terrible poker face, to be able to walk out of his huge job, just knowing that Josh has an opinion of someone that is worth following. Like, that's a pretty deep connection with someone.
It is, yeah. And I sort of like that, like, Sam and Josh and CJ and Toby, we don't get a sense of more of their background, but just from these few scenes, we get a sense that they have an intense background. We get a sense of how strongly they're bonded because of exactly what you just said. And I love that they did it with that little poker face storyline because Josh literally just stands outside the window and points to his face. And that was just a cool way to do that. I like that a lot.
I wonder if Bradley Whitford gets that a lot. If people just look at him and stand and point at their faces.
I hope so. That would be a good way to...
I would do that.
Meet
and
him.
I would grin like an idiot the way he did.
Right. I think it'd be pretty perfect. So that's a fun flashback. I like all the flashbacks. Because like I said, I just think it's fun that we're given just enough to know how like deeply they're connected. And we're given enough to see how they came to where they are now. But it's not an overload of information. We're still kind of left to fill in some blanks on our own, which is cool.
Yeah.
I like it. Good job, Sorkin. Not overrun with the flashbacks.
Indeed.
So another fun storyline is the who is in charge of the country.
Yeah, super fun.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Margaret as we do this, because apparently there was a document that Bartlett was supposed to sign, while he's bleeding internally, to hand over power to the vice president. Oops, that didn't happen. So they're trying to figure out, who was actually in charge there? What would have happened? And Margaret, being the most random person ever, tells Leo that she has learned to forge the president's signature, and we'll just play the audio for this one. It's so good.
Yeah, let's just play it.
Can I just say something, for the future?
Yeah.
I can sign the president's name. I have his signature down pretty good.
You can sign the president's name?
Yeah.
On a document removing him from power and handing it to someone else?
Yeah. Or do you think the White House counsel would say that was a bad idea?
I think the White House counsel would say that's a coup d'etat.
I'd probably end up doing some time for that.
I would think. And what the hell are you doing practicing the president's signature?
It's just for fun.
We've got separation of powers, checks and balances, and Margaret vetoing things and sending them back to the Hill.
Oh, man.
Margaret's such a fun character. My favorite part of that is, do you think the White House counsel would say that's a bad idea?
I think they call it a coup d'etat.
That is too funny. And then Leo's the end. We've got separation of powers, checks and balances, Margaret vetoing things. There's a reason we play the audio clips so that we don't have to re-say them, but every line of it is just so great. It's so good. So funny.
I also wanted to mention that my dad taught me how to forge his signature when I was younger, because I thought that was relevant.
Did he?
He taught me how to...
that would come in handy?
Yeah, because he didn't want to have to sign permission slips or field trip.
Oh, wow.
Whatever.
He's very trusting.
He actually, yes, I'm a very good daughter, but he taught me how to sign his signature, so I just felt like that was relevant.
Huh.
Yeah.
I knew how to sign my mom's, but she did not teach me. Sorry, Mom.
Oh.
So yeah, that was fun. But this is an issue of who is in charge. And to me, I don't know. Does it feel redundant that he would have to sign that paper? Why can't we just automatically assume, that's the whole point of the vice president. So why don't we automatically assume that judgment is deferred to him? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know.
We
really need a political correspondent, consultant, because this would go on the list of questions that we would ask. Because you really would have to delineate, in terms of levels of anesthesia. If he's just going to get... No, I guess if he's unconscious at any point. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea how that works.
It just seems like paperwork for the sake of paperwork. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. Someone's going to give us 2 stars because they don't like that we don't know how that works in politics. But guess what, guys? This isn't a political podcast.
We can only do so much.
Yeah. There's only so much time in the day.
Yeah. So but I do think that's an interesting storyline. I like when they sort of bring up interesting stuff about politics, like when the president had to get invited to the State of the Union, and it's just fun when Sorkin writes in these sort of odd bits that make you think, why is it like that? Why would he have to write a letter? Why can't it just be whatever? It's fun to. You're definitely, if you don't know anything about politics, you're definitely going to learn something while watching.
Yeah, and actually I think it's this season, I can't recall, I'm pretty sure, no spoilers, but I think it's the season where there is some shifting around of some pretty key players in terms of who's in power and who's not in power and when
dun, dun,
and why.
dun.
Yeah, that completely took me by surprise. So there's definitely a lot of cool stuff to come.
Also, there's Danny and CJ Danny is the one sort of poking at this storyline of who's in charge. And he has a cute moment where he tells CJ he doesn't want to be this guy, that like he doesn't want to be the one that's like asking this question, but that he has to do it. It's already an issue and he has to be the person like saying that. But I just thought it's just more of Danny and his integrity and him and us just liking him because he's a good guy, that he's thinking. I just really believe him when he says, I don't want to be the guy doing this, but
yeah,
I am. So I like that.
Yes. Danny. They're back on track. I like that.
Yeah.
What else do we have? Bartlett's being mean and disagreeable.
Yeah. We have that. And we have just an entirely... I just don't even know. I don't want to say unnecessary. It's not unnecessary. But like, okay, Josh is shot. He is in surgery. He's potentially going to die. There's a lot going on. And then Sorkin on top of that... The knife is already, like, in our hearts, and he just twists it so much because Josh's storyline in this episode, in the flashback, is that his dad dies.
Yeah.
And you're just no bueno. Seriously? Like, we are already emotionally damaged. This is a huge thing to throw in on top of that. And we're only 2 episodes into the second season, and Josh Lyman has a pretty depressing backstory, just as a whole.
Yeah. Oh man. And I know it created a good moment for Bartlett and Josh. So
oh my gosh, the best moment.
He's at the airport, which that was not O'Hare Airport, P.S. But good try, Hollywood. But that was back, obviously, in the days when you could all go all the way up to the gate with people, which almost nobody remembers, but it was endearing.
Yeah.
And then Bartlett offers to, like, buy a ticket and go with Josh.
Yeah, that was just...
He, like, reaches for his wallet. Ugh.
Yeah. Which I guess I sort of jumped the gun because the backstory about Bartlett being mean is, like, more important for this, but I was just... looking at my notes and like it's so much to add on to an already emotionally heavy episode. It's a lot. I was I don't know. The scene with he and Josh in the airport is just, it's a lot to take. It really is because it forms such a like intense bond. And it forms such an intense fondness from us to the characters just immediately in this scene. It's a very, I can't say intense again, but like we're immediately feel bonded to them because of how deep this scene is. Don't you agree? Wouldn't you say so?
It's a very vulnerable moment, and Bartlett didn't have to do it.
Right.
And it shows a completely different side of him. It shows the side of him that we like now and that we know Bartlett to be now. So it was very touching. And also
because Bartlett wait, you go ahead.
No, well, I was just saying that Josh, we also have the first meeting of Josh and Donna. So in terms of like things that we care about tied to the man who's in surgery the whole episode, it's like the stakes keep getting higher and higher with all these people that have come to meet him for the first time.
Yeah. So, it's a lot. There are very high stakes. There's a lot of emotion because there's a lot of backstory about characters that we care about, and then we're just caring about them more. And so you're just being attached and attached and attached. You're getting in deeper and deeper in this episode. And we already knew, because we talked a little bit last episode about how, because you were saying it's annoying that Bartlett's so mean to everybody.
Well, it is.
So we know how Bartlett is now, like in present day in our story time. So it's not fun, but like it's a cool story arc to see him, because we knew something was going to happen to get Bartlett to be regular Bartlett. if that makes sense. We knew watching these flashbacks, like, come on, Jed, like, this is not how you are. You know, get it together. And Abby has a good moment with Josh where she tells him that Jed isn't ready yet. And I really enjoy this storyline about him sort of finding his confidence and finding his voice and realizing, like, all right, I'm going to do this. Like, we're going to do this. And how much that changes his character.
Yeah. I mean, I understand that functionally, but I still feel like he was like rude. It's one thing to be scared and to be stressed out, but the things that he snapped about, like, when I say what's next, it means what's next. I'm moving on. You know, that it didn't read to me that he was overcompensating for being scared. You know what I mean? Like, I can understand the way someone acts out when they're stressed, and that didn't feel like that to me.
But. I loved it, because I mean, it may just be different people's personalities, but that's how I am when I'm stressed. When I'm stressed or tired or whatever, I'm just snappy, and I'm just not a good person to be around. So for me, it really rang true. Yeah, for me, it really rang true, because that's something that we all have our flaws. This is basically like just a mental health session right now, right? We're just going to talk about like, me and my feelings.
Somewhere?
Yeah. But really, I mean, the people around me have to know that sometimes if I am snappy or whatever, that has nothing to do with them. It has nothing to do with anything except for me being stressed or me being burnt out or whatever. And so that really rang true to me. Like when he says, I also think he's trying to figure out his authority too. When he says, you know, the thing about when I say what's next, it means I'm done talking about this. I think that he's misguidedly trying to figure out how to like lay down the law maybe, or he feels like that's how he should be. And also I think he's just so fed up with, like, you know, all the people they fired, with them going on and on about, like, not naming the candidate. He's just so fed up with all of that he's like, I'm not playing this game with you guys. You guys need to be different. When I say what's next, I'm done talking about it.
Yeah, and it's got to be hard having so many different voices coming at you with strategy, and we got to do this, and we got to do that. You probably do feel like a puppet at a certain point, and then you have to realize that you're actually... I mean, you need them
in charge
for strategy, right, but you are actually in charge. So I'm sure it's got to be a weird, like, I'm the leader, but I also am very much following.
Well, and because it's not just voices coming at you. It's very strong Josh Lyman and Toby Ziegler style voices coming at you. So it's people who agree in what they're saying. Yeah. I guess I just think of them two as being them, because Leo has his opinions, but even he is more soft-spoken with them. But these people believe in what the advice they're giving you just as much as you believe in what you're doing. So it's, you know, they have to figure out that dynamic and that balance, and it's fun to watch them do that. So
agreed. Totally agreed.
Yeah. So I just love it when it comes full circle, just to tie it back into that airport scene. It just makes it so much more emotional, because this is where they're going to sort of come to the common ground, and it's just... I don't know. It's just, it's very, the whole thing is really sincere. Josh, you know, he offers to come with them, and Josh says, it's nice of you to ask. And Josh's face, Bradley Whitford, man, before he gets on the plane to go, like everything you need to know about that scene is in his face right there, because it's just heartbreaking. And his whole face just says, like, I can't believe I'm getting on a plane to, you know, because my dad died. Like, I can't believe I'm going home to do this. I can't believe this is my reality. And I can't believe that this man is here, like, offering, like, everything you need to know is just right on one little look, which is just, whew.
Yeah, so instead of listening to this podcast, just go look at Bradley Whitford's face in that scene, and you'll just have all the feels.
But also listen to the podcast.
But yeah, you can do that too. I mean, we're just here for fun. I think the only other major thing I wanted to point out, which is the fact that Sam saved CJ's life. BT-dub.
Yeah.
He pushed her down. He pushed her down at the shooting. And he saved her life.
He's so funny, though, when they're talking about it, because he's like, I didn't want it to be like an episode of I Dream of Jeannie, where I saved your life, so you have to save my life. And it's like, really?
Yeah.
That's your concern, and that's your reference?
He didn't want her to feel beholden to him. I mean, like, can we love Sam Seaborn anymore? I really don't know if it's possible.
I couldn't love any of them anymore. really.
What about Josh and Donna? We also have to talk about this. We didn't talk about that
really
scene
do.
at all.
Josh and Donna, they have immediate chemistry. I mean, well, granted, we're 2 seasons in, but like when they meet, they have immediate chemistry. Didn't you think so? Like the first exchanges, I don't know.
I just love it. I mean, I just love Donna because she's confident, but then she's so human too. She's like, well, I might have overstated where I graduated from, and then she's naming all these majors. And Josh just gets very personal right away, like asking about her boyfriend and her breakup, and
Yeah.
I know that he's just trying to show that he's like he can see through her, like that he knows things, he's street smart, whatever. But it was a little bit personal. And, she says, like, why can't this be a place where people find themselves, too? And
yeah, I loved that because I didn't like that Josh asked that about, like, something like, when'd your boyfriend break up with you? Whatever that line was. I was like, you know what? Like, why can't this woman just be on her own? But then she wasn't. But I like that I like that Donna fought back about that. Like, why can't this be that place? Like, like, I'm going to be here anyway. So, I don't know. I enjoyed that she stood up to that. Like you said, that she's confident, but not so confident that we dislike her.
Yeah, she just starts answering people's phones. When I was trying to look for jobs, somebody told me that I should just start, like, answering important people's phones. And I said I totally would do that. However, I don't want to be in a Donna dilemma eventually where you may not want to answer somebody's phone for your entire professional career. So
that's true.
But I loved that she had the guts to do it. She's a go-getter, that Donna Moss. And
yep, she is.
When he hands her the Bartlett staff badge, I mean, come on.
Just love it.
It's so good. Ugh.
The only other thing I want to mention is that Sam's office suddenly has a big window in it where his bookcase used to be. And that was not there. He now has 2 large windows behind his desk, and he used to have a huge, like extension of his desk and bookcase, because his "Don't Tread on Me" flag used to be behind him, and now it's to the right of him. So I guess the White House added a window.
Oh. Well, all right. That's then.
Just, whatever.
Maybe he was concerned about not getting enough sunlight.
Yeah, must have been. And that sounds like Sam. So
yeah, it does. Vitamin B.
The only other tiny thing to mention too is Toby feels guilty about the awning being taken down.
Yeah.
And Ron Butterfield, I loved Ron Butterfield's sort of answer to Toby, his little speech there. He talks about his line says I would never let you not let me protect the president. And that if somebody was going to take a president down, an awning wouldn't stop him, et cetera, et cetera. And I just like that because, I don't know, this whole storyline was a little, I mean, it's just a small storyline throughout the past couple episodes, but it's just interesting to think that.
Yeah.
And it wouldn't stop them.
Well, it's true. I said that in the last episode, and you mocked, but it's true. It really wouldn't. But it was interesting that Toby went, and he wanted to make sure that they were not blamed for it when he really felt responsible. So everybody's just being really awesome, basically.
Yeah.
In this episode.
Yeah, Toby wanted to come forward and take the blame because the Secret Service was going to get blamed. And he was just like, it's not your fault. It is, we should have been whatever, but at the same time, he doesn't say we should have done anything differently.
Right.
He is proud of how they reacted.
Also, it's
that
the shooters
were
fault.
down in a certain amount of time. Yeah.
so
that was
really,
good.
The only thing I would say about this episode is that if you're going to rewatch it, the moment that Josh finds out that his father died, obviously you're thinking and looking at Josh and Donna, but if you were to happen to look at Sam dancing in the background, you might enjoy it.
Oh my gosh.
It's so awesomely bad and
funny. About that moment, I wrote down, Josh is trying to celebrate the primary and finds out that his father died, and then in all caps it says, "That's cool, Sorkin, I'm fine, it's not a big deal, seriously." Because I was just so emotional, and it's just like, really, dude? Let's pile it on. It's fine. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Emotionally, I'm fine.
It's we're fine.
So
it's okay.
That's it. You have an MVP?
Oh shoot. Oh man, I really didn't think about this. Can you go first?
Oh Yeah, Josh.
Oh yeah, okay, that works.
It's Josh for me. I mean, maybe Bart. Like maybe maybe it's tied with Bartlett a little bit, but it's Josh.
No.
I mean, he goes and gets Sam. He has this emotional. I mean, or maybe Bradley Whitford. I don't know. But we should do a vote for Josh and a vote for Bradley because
I think
his
that's
performance
fair.
in this is just.
It's
just wonderful. Yeah,
top notch.
So that's my vote.
Turn up the Doobie Brothers. He won the MVP. It's time to celebrate. Woohoo!
Woo-hoo.
Cool. All right. Well, that's In the Shadow of Two Gunmen Part 2. We're back to a new story, new episode next time, which is something. I don't remember what it is, but it's episode 3.
The midterms.
The midterms already? Go.
Yep, that happened fast. So,
all right. Well, we'll see you there, guys.
See you then. Bye.